And talking about creating something, creative juices
Right.
has been created, and you've been working through that concept. What is creative juices?
I think creative juices pulls it all together. Creative juices I would consider as a mechanical, again, using our 5 basic senses, but it's also a metaphysical program designed to teach people how to think differently, teach people how to look at things in different perspectives. And the whole point about that is that if we can start to be able to really get a better idea of the things that are impacting us, the things that we're seeing visually, the things that we're taking on, then we can start to connect more pieces. And again, going to connecting more experiences that we're having, the things that we've seen, the things that we've processed through, and now we understand the operation of, with bigger opportunities, because now you can apply these things. There's a gentleman by the name of Daniel, I believe his name is Daniel Barris, and he's a technology strategist. He has a long view about technology. He'll tell you about 25 technologies that are out right now that are changing the course of the way we operate humans. And it includes, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. It includes virtual reality and different types of techniques, or other technologies that are emerging, that when you start to combine your questions and your observations and your experiences with these new trends that are occurring, then you're able to combine a need or challenge that you're dealing with again, trends of technology, opportunities that are coming. And that's the moment of opportunity itself, because that's when you're able to put things together to create something new from the experiences that you've had in the past. And you're not just creating an invention, you're creating an innovation, because you're leapfrogging, you're going bounds and finding new directions on where these things can be applied, whereas the average person is just trying to take one device and turn it into something else, and it's just one step further, one step further, one step further of an invention. It's not an innovation, it's not changing the boundary or the direction of possibilities with those earlier creations or with those smaller creations. You know, think about this, for example. I think it was the Benz motor wagon was the first car that we have, and it was 1896. And basically it was a 3-wheel device, and it had kind of like a device where you'd hold here as a tiller to direct it. And it had pedals, but it basically went around 1.9 miles per hour. So it didn't go very far, didn't go very fast, but it was the beginning. 3 years later, in 1899, you had what's called the Royal Enfield, which had the first 4-wheel device. Now, you needed to have, they say, 3 legs and 5 arms to be able to operate this thing, because it was so many different devices. But they didn't have an idea on what a car would be. There was no idea as to how do you develop a car, because it was something that had not existed before. It wasn't until 1915 with the Cadillac, and I forget the model of that Cadillac itself, where you had the steering wheel, you had the brake pedal, you had the gas, you have the current configuration that we now have in our cars today. But it took a series of cars for those things to be able to finally be worked out, and then this became the framework from which everything else builds on. Everything layers and everything builds upon something else, but you find that common idea that most people can get around, and then things build upon that. You know, 1G technology for phones. You know, that was basic, it wasn't even broadband. It was very low data communications, going up to 2G, to 3G, to 4G. Now we're in 5G. You know, I think 500,000 kilobytes of data that are being processed through that, but yet you wouldn't have been able to come up with 5G without 4G. You wouldn't have been able to come up with 4G without 3G, because things layer, and from something comes something subsimilar. So that's how everything kind of pulls together. It's a recognition, again, of, with neuro-linguistics programming, or rather with neuro-creative programming, in creative juices, it's a recognition of neuro-linguistics programming as far as a base is concerned, or how we experience the world, but it also uses those 7 ancient principles to explain how we create within this reality. Because again, going back to the soccer example, there are rules to reality, and we can find out and understand those rules and begin to apply them. Then we can now understand the rules of neuro-linguistics programming and how we operate within our 5+ basic senses.